Hey there guys, CrossFlux here, and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Red Rescue Team. In the last episode, we thoroughly explored the Stormy Sea and managed to recruit the mighty Kyogre. And in today's episode, we'll be cleaning out our mailbox from some of the junk mail that's been piling up, and we'll even see what some of the townsfolk have to say about some of these recent events. It's time once again for the 6 o'clock Chetflux news at 4 o'clock. I'm your host, Chetflux, and thank you for tuning in. Let's head over to our main reporter on the scene, CrossFlux. Yes, hello Chet. Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot going on in Pokemon Square today. So, let's start with the very exciting news about the location of the buried relic. Pokemon News, extra, read all about it. Buried relic discovered. Mystery ruin found underground. Its site had been hidden by the crater of a meteor strike in ancient times. The buried relic is thought to date back beyond recorded history. There are rumors of treasures, and perhaps even Pokemon that lived in ancient times. The buried relic is the main topic in Pokemon Square. Back to you, Chet. Ah yes, how interesting. Well, is there anything else that you need to report, CrossFlux? As a matter of fact, Chet, there is. Azurill the Little Hero. With a simple act of courage, Azurill became a hero despite being small in size. Azurill came across Slowpoke, who had fallen into our pond. Our hero's tail, thrown at the struggling Slowpoke, saved a sure drowning. Slowpoke claimed to have entirely forgotten having the ability to swim capably. Haha, just like our good old Slowpoke. Moving on to our next story, we have the Wobbly Wobbuffet Wanders. Earlier today, Wobbuffet reportedly wobbled the wrong way and wandered off. It had to be rescued by the famous Team Hydro. Fortunately, the wayward wanderer Wobbuffet was only wobbly and otherwise unharmed. It's good to see that he's still safe after the events of the Uproar Forest and the Mankey Gang. Moving on to our top story of Where is Kecleon? There have been numerous reports that the older of the Kecleon merchants in Pokemon Square occasionally goes missing. Some residents claim he's greedy, he must be off doing business somewhere. His younger brother denies such claims. He wouldn't get free items in dungeons and try to sell them. I don't know about you, but that sounds a little suspicious to me. The Kecleon brothers have always done Skipper and Lizzie well, so maybe we should trust them. If you say so, CrossFlux. Are you almost done? As a matter of fact, Chet, I am. Almost done, that is. Our last news story for today comes to us in the form of a noxious gas leak. Reports of a noxious gas leak has caused widespread chaos in the Sinister Woods. Specialists speculate that the recent natural disasters are to blame. However, some also blame Team Coughing's training in the area for the foul-smelling gas. The answer, apparently, is blowing in the wind. Back to you, Chet. Yes, quite amusing there, CrossFlux. Well, there you have it, folks. That's it for today's broadcast. Hope you'll all join us next time for more Chetflux news. I've been your host, Chetflux, and I will see you next time. But anyways, guys, with all that junk mail read, let's go see what the Square has to say about this newly discovered buried relic. Hey, have you heard about the buried relic? They're rumoring that there are treasures in there, and they say the treasures aren't just lying around on the ground. Know what they're saying? They're saying that treasures are even embedded in the walls. If you knock down the walls, there might be treasures galore. Sounds really enticing, eh? I think Shiftry knows where the buried relic is. Well, thanks for that information there, Lombre. Let's go talk to him and see what he has to say about it. What's that? Where's the buried relic? Well, the buried relic's deep in the jungle to the southeast. You dreaming about treasures too? Yeah, me too. Best of luck, compadre. So, after speaking to Shiftry here, we will unlock the buried relic for our own exploration. But yeah, Lombre brings up an interesting point here. We haven't seen too many dungeons that really have items held within the walls of the dungeons themselves. They tend to be lying around on the ground. So the buried relic is one of those few dungeons that do have that ability. However, we currently lack the ability to break down walls. So I won't be exploring the buried relic until a little later on. In fact, I'm going to spend the rest of today exploring the Solar Cave, which was unlocked at the same time as the Stormy Sea. If you recall, Wishcash said that he got the Dive HM from the Solar Cave, and that there might be other similar treasures in this cave. So, I'm going to raid it, but first I'm going to have to prepare my inventory and form a proper team. so I'll be back in just a flash. Well, look at what we have here. Both an old face and a new face all in one package. Yep, if you guessed it, then this is Pokey. Yep, all the way back from our adventures in Mount Thunder. Starting out at level 12, I managed to get him up to level 34 and evolved him fully into a Beedrill. The rest of my team consists of a level 32 Grunge, the Shuppet from Sky Tower, and a level 31 Grim, the Absol from our days as a fugitive. So, if you'll notice a trend amongst my team, they're all good against Psychic types, and there's a reason for that. Because the Solar Cave consists of nothing but Psychic type Pokemon. So, making a team out of Bug, Ghost, and Dark type Pokemon seems like a logical choice. As for the items that I'm bringing into this dungeon, it's pretty generic stuff. Alternatively, you could bring some status healing items like Pecha Berries, Cherry Berries, and Person Bands as held items, because statuses can be a bit of an issue in this dungeon. But, I'm a little on the risky side, and I want to keep my inventory as empty as possible, because there's a lot of goodies that you can find here in the Solar Cave. So, the Solar Cave itself is 20 floors long, which is a little longer than, obviously, some of the story mission dungeons. However, they're not very long by post-game dungeon standards. The floor layouts tend to be a lot of tiny rooms connected by long, intricate hallways, so it really feels like an ancient ruins or something along those lines. A new thing you'll really start discovering here is traps. So sometimes when you step on a floor tile, it'll actually be a trap in disguise. Hey, check it out, a Drowsy wants to join our team. Well, I always have a tradition of nicknaming a Drowsy in my Pokemon games, so I'll decide to keep that tradition here. I'm going to nickname it Nanners. And the reason for that is, well, I mean, come on, look at that nose. It looks just like a banana. Anyways, here, as I was saying, traps can have a wide variety of effects. Some will deal just damage, some will inflict various status conditions, some will seal your moves so that you can only use other moves for that particular floor, some will mess with your items, some will teleport you around. Literally, any condition you can think of, there's probably a trap for it. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I recommend giving gummies to your team members so that they will learn the Trap Avoider IQ skill, so that they'll not follow you blindly, but will instead actively avoid traps in order to follow you around. That's definitely makes a huge difference in some of the later dungeons. What else can I say about Solar Cave here? If you bring a team that I kind of recommended here, which is, you know, Bug, Dark, Ghost type Pokemon, then honestly the Pokemon in this dungeon aren't really going to give you any trouble at all. But I suppose if you're adamant about bringing other type Pokemon in this dungeon with you, then I suppose the Grumpig and Hypnos can be a bit of an issue because they have lots of HP and can tend to use Confusion a lot. So it's more annoying than anything. However, I mean, they're probably the biggest threats I can think of. I suppose maybe Wobbuffet can also be an issue. Now what's interesting about some of the Pokemon here is the wide variety of experience that they'll give you. Some will give you next to nothing, such as these Beldum and Mewtwo and stuff like that, whereas other Pokemon like Grumpig and Hypno will give you tons of experience, assuming you used linked moves in order to take them out. Because actually, I can't remember, but I don't think I talked about this when I first went over linking moves in that episode a long time ago. But basically, if you kill a Pokemon with a linked move, you'll get extra bonus experience on top of the bonus experience that you normally get for just using a move on a Pokemon. So, I suppose I should go over some of the items you can get in Solar Cave, because this is actually where Solar Cave gets a little bit interesting. You can find Sun and Moonstones pretty commonly, which are useful for helping certain Pokemon to evolve. You can also find lots of rare TMs and interesting orbs. The biggest random item that you can find here, however, are keys. And keys are really important to post-game dungeons. The reason for that is you'll start encountering locked door tiles, which can only be bypassed with a key. And usually really good items are held behind locked doors. And speaking of locked doors, the Solar Cave is actually home to 2 locked chests, specifically on floors 10 and 15. So besides those random items, floor 20 will also have another important item on it. However, it's not blocked by a locked door. It is surrounded by water tiles, so make sure you bring a Pokemon that's capable of crossing water terrain. So these important items in question are the Dive HM on floor 10, Waterfall on floor 15, and Surf on floor 20. So being that they're all HMs, they're definitely important for accessing certain dungeons in the post-game. Alternatively, if you already have these HMs in your possession when you enter the Solar Cave, instead of having a copy of that particular HM in the dungeon, it will be replaced with a link cable item, which is also important for evolving certain Pokemon. So I think I've rambled on more than long enough about the Solar Cave here. So let's go ahead and hit that speed up button, and I'll be sure to show off all the locked chambers and what they look like and stuff like that. So I'll meet you guys at the end. Alright guys, sorry that dungeon excavation was a bit longer than normal. I wanted to make sure I scoured each floor entirely to try and find some keys. I wasn't lucky enough to find any, but if you noticed, it seemed that I had already claimed both Surf, Dive, and Waterfall. And that's because off screen, I used this team to try and see if it was ready for the Solar Cave for recording for this part. And I had gathered quite a nice haul, and I found enough keys to get all the items. So it was a really lucky find, and I didn't want to overwrite it. So I ended up saving over that, and I just went through the Solar Cave for the second time in recording for this episode. So that kind of explains a little bit of confusion there. But guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll join me next time, and as usual, have a blessed day. I'll see you then.